our series in Everyday Disciples, and you will see at the back of me there is a new stained glass window here. So over the last 4 weeks we've been looking at the cost of discipleship. We've been looking at the Scripture, immersing ourselves in Scripture, well done. We've been looking at being in a community, the importance of community, and today we're looking at having intimacy with God and the importance of having intimacy with God. If you are visiting today or you have not gotten your devotions, there are daily devotion booklets about this. So in the foyer, they're available. If you love what I'm saying and you love what you're seeing up there, feel free to grab those daily devotion booklets after the service in the welcome foyer. You are more than welcome to do that. So this week we are looking at growing in intimacy with God. Being a part of a disciple is choosing to grow closer in our spiritual journey with God each day. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but there are some couples who the longer they are married, the more they start to look alike. The more they dress alike, their mannerisms are the same, or they start to kind of act in the same way or say the same things. There might be people in this church that you think, oh yeah, definitely. There might be people in your family where you think, oh yeah, I can see that. It is so sweet. I love it. I just love seeing older couples holding hands, wearing similar outfits, and walking together in similar ways. I wonder if you've noticed this yourself, and it always brings me a joy to see this. This to me displays a beautiful intimacy, a closeness and a bond with each other that has endured the test of time. It's pure love. I found over the years that the more that Alistair and I are together, the more we start to behave like each other. I wonder if any of you are married here, you might have had similar experiences where you walk downstairs to have breakfast together and you're wearing the same kind of colours. It can be embarrassing, and one of you has to go back and change. Or there are times in our marriage where we'll be saying something and we'll finish each other's sentences. Or you've gotten to this stage in your marriage where the one person will say, I'm bringing home takeaway. And instead of saying, can you do this and get this, this and this, you just say, you know what I want. You just get what I want. There is a beautiful intimacy that we share the longer that we're together, where we know each other so deeply. And God longs to have that intimacy with us. He longs to have the relationship with us where we have this deep bond. Now, he already knows us intimately, but he longs for us to know him intimately. He longs to journey closely with us through the highs and the lows of life. And he longs for that relationship where we start to look and behave like him. Maybe not physically, but those people who have walked the long spiritual journey with Jesus. Those people that you meet, or those people on TV, and you just know that they have this beautiful, intimate relationship with God. They radiate his love and his warmth and his words. I think of people like Mother Teresa or Billy Graham or Eugene Peterson, who, whether they were talking to the president or whether they were talking to a beggar on the street, you could just see God's love shining through them. Now, we may never be these people, but we do have an opportunity each day to grow closer in intimacy with God, to get to know him more, to receive more of his love, and in return to share his love with the people that he brings us in contact with. This is part of being an everyday disciple. This is part of God's desire for us. Now, the night that Jesus was about to be arrested, he shared this desire with his disciples. He knew that he was about to leave them, and his deep desire was for his disciples to stay connected with him. Even when he's gone, this desire for his disciples to remain true He knew what was ahead for his disciples. He knew the trials that they would go through in their life. And he also knew that God had great plans for them. But they couldn't do it in their own strength. They would need to abide with him. They would need to remain in him. They would need to continue to grow closer with him and learn to lean on him. And this is his desire for us as well, to grow closer to him each day, to learn to fully rely on him, and like the disciples' witness, continue to be amazed at the miracles that they and we get to witness each day. So if you've got your Bibles, if you can turn with me to John chapter 15, verse 1 to 8. It'll be up on the screen as well. And so Jesus' desires for his disciples is to grow, remain in him, to abide in him. And so this is what he says to his disciples. Jesus says, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already clean because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me, as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples." So Jesus' desire for us is to remain in him, to continue a lifelong relationship with him. And in order to do this, he outlines a few things in this passage that we must understand first. So one of those things is that we can grow in intimacy by understanding God as our gardener. Jesus says in verse 1, "I am the true vine and my Father is the gardener." Now, I am a self-confessed gardener. On a Monday and a Wednesday and a Sunday, I have my pastor hat on. But on a Saturday, you will often see me in my daggy clothes, my crazy wide brim hat with dirt and mud and sweat everywhere. I love my garden. And I don't mean that I just like looking at it kind of love. I mean like the Costa Georgiadis, is that his name? Georgiadis kind of love. If you don't know Costa, you need to look at Gardening Australia one day. He is fanatical about plants. He's awesome. But this is me on a Saturday. On a Saturday, you will see me hand watering my plants. You will see me weeding them. You will see me, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but you will see me talking with them. I will be admiring the bees and the butterflies and the magpies and the dragon lizards that come and visit me as I inspect each plant. I know which plants are thriving. I know which plants are suffering. It pains me when one of my plants die. It brings me joy when one of my plants are budding for the first time. I know if you are not a gardener, you are sitting here going, "She is one crazy woman. What are you doing employing her?" But I am going to actually have a bit of a proud mama moment, and I'm going to show you some of my plants are up there. So in this side in the corner here is a crepe myrtle. So my crepe myrtle, we moved into our house 2 years ago, and when we moved in, there was just this pot and it had a stick. And that was all that was in the pot. The previous owners had left 6 weeks and the house had been empty. And this stick was in the pot, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to water it, I'm going to give it some seaweed solution and see what, I didn't even know what it was just a stick in the ground. And within a couple of weeks, it started to bud. And then springtime came around and it started to flower. And so this is my crepe myrtle that I have resuscitated, I have revived, and she is beautiful around summertime. And at the moment, the native bees just swarm around her. She is gorgeous. Now, I want to share with you on this side, up here on my right, on my left, on my right, whatever side this is, is my portulaca. So my portulaca is in the harshest conditions. She is in full sun in our pool area, and she's behind a white wall. Nothing can grow there except for her, and she just is blooming. She's beautiful. She is amazing. And then down here on the other side, can you see the little buds? I'm really excited. I got this orchid as a gift last year, and this is the first time that it started to bud. So I've been going out every day and I'll just look at whether it's going to flower, I think that this week I might see it flower. I'm pretty excited by that. And then this one here is my magnolia. I love magnolias. I heard this beautiful poem about magnolia flowers one day, and it just always reminds me when I see my magnolias in flowers. And it talked about magnolias being praying hands. And so their buds are like praying hands. And then as they open, they become like a cup, and they receive God's love, God's nourishment. And then when the nectar, when the stems like bloom open, I don't know if you're a gardener, you know what this means, but when the pollen comes, like all of a sudden all this pollen comes in the middle of this cup, and the bees will come and they will be like pigs in mud. They will come and they will swim and they will dance in all the pollen, and you'll see these bees that are full of pollen and they love it. And this poem talked about like our hands being praying hands and receiving and then giving out to the world. So every time I see my little magnolia in bud, I always just remember this beautiful poem that just talks about the praying hands. This is my garden. I am so proud of it. Jesus uses this image of God as a gardener here in the passage, and God is not a low-maintenance gardener. He does not have a set and forget sprinkler system and a hired helper to do the mowing and the weeding for him. Like my plants, God is a gardener who knows each of his plants intimately. He created us and he delights in us, and he finds such joy in a relationship with us. He is a gardener who delights in his garden. He longs to walk with us. He longs to help us grow. He longs to have intimacy with us. And God is also a gardener who longs to see us flourish. He longs to see us fruitful, and he will water us, and he will weed us, and he will prune us, and he will nurture and protect us in harsh conditions. Just as I love seeing my flowers bloom, God longs to see us fruitful as we grow in him. He longs to see us fruitful in our walk with him, and he longs to see us fruitful in our mission for him. So we can grow in intimacy with God with firstly understanding God as our gardener. He's like our Costa gardener. He loves the garden and he longs to see us fruitful. The second thing we can grow in intimacy with God is by understanding who we are. We are the branches. We are not the gardener. We are not the vine. We are the branches. In verse 5, Jesus says, I am the branches. I am the vine. You are the branches. There are two things to note about branches. One, branches on a tree, there are no two alike. Each branch has different shapes, different profiles. They're all diverse. Some branches produce a bountiful of crop. Some produce a little crop. Some will provide just the right amount of shade for the younger branches to grow up. Some grow strong and provide nests for ants and for birds and other wildlife. Just like the branches of a tree, each of us are unique, and our gardener has different roles for each of one of us to play. When we are grafted onto the vine, we are given new life, and with that new life comes spiritual gifts. If you had told me 25 years ago that I would be standing here today, that young, shy, introverted girl would have been laughing at you. That's not possible. But part of being a disciple is discovering what those gifts are that God has given you and using them both inside and outside of the church, however big or small they are. This is part of the spiritual nourishment that God gives us to be strong, fruitful branches. And just like branches on a tree, each of us have different spiritual gifts, and we'll use them differently at different stages in our life, and some will be big and some will be small, but we are all branches and given this gift. The second thing to note about branches is that a branch on a tree is actually usually where the fruit comes from. You actually rarely see fruit forming from the trunk of a tree or the roots of a tree. The fruit comes from the branches. Through God as the gardener, tending and caring for us, through connection with Jesus as the vine, we as the branches are able to bear spiritual fruit. We are invited to play an important part. That is awesome, isn't it? A part of growing closer to God is faithfully saying yes and allowing the nourishment to come from the gardener through to the vine. And when we say yes, it's outpoured through our branches. But as branch, we cannot bear fruit by ourselves. We must stay connected, we must abide, we must remain in the vine. And that brings us to our next point. We can grow in intimacy with God by relying on Jesus as our vine. Jesus says in verses 5 and 6, "If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fires and burned." Jesus is our vine. He is our life source. The vine, or the trunk of a tree or a plant, it exists to suck up nutrients or water from the roots and deliver it to the branches to feed and nourish and grow the branches. The stronger and healthier the relationship with Jesus, the stronger and healthier our branch and our fruit will be. I have a lime tree at home, and anyone who grows citrus knows that the secret to good fruit is to feed them well. You're also getting a bit of a garden class here, so I hope you're listening. Be good. I feed my citrus chicken poo every quarter, and I water it with seaweed solution once a month. But when I feed it, I actually don't just throw chicken poo all over the leaves and the limes. That will actually kill the plants. So what I do is I will put my food around the edges, around the line on the dirt of the tree. You know what I'm talking about, scattering. Yeah. Now, I do that, scatter the food around the rim of the plant. That's what it is, the rim of the plant, because I know that the tree, the trunk, and the roots are strong. And the trunk actually knows the right amount of nutrients that the branches need to grow. And at the right amount of time, it will provide the nutrients for the branches to grow. And so it is with our spiritual walk. If we're going to continue to remain strong in our faith until the end of days, we must remain in Jesus. We must stay close with him. We must see him as our life source. Each day I try to spend time with Jesus. We've been doing our daily devotions, and I've been trying to do them most days. Just as I make time to spend with the other loves of my life, my husband and my kids, I try daily to spend time with Jesus as my love. When we do meet, we read scripture together, we converse in prayer, I journal my thoughts and any insights that he may have shared, and I try to finish with a worship song, something that has come to mind during our time together. This is my time to soak up the life-giving nutrients that Jesus as the vine provides me for the day ahead. Some days in my schedule it's just too busy and I'm not able to have time with him. And on those days I actually find I really miss it. I feel like a branch that is wilting rather than a branch that is thriving. A key to growing in intimacy with God is remaining in Jesus, walking with him each day and recognising him as your life source. The other thing that we can do is we can grow in intimacy with God by trusting the gardener in times of pruning. We may think that if we live with God as our gardener and Jesus as our vine, and we in the branches remain with him, we will grow strong and everything will be okay. We'll have happy days. But anyone who has been a follower of Jesus for a while knows that this is actually not the case all the time. There are seasons of pain. Some pain is brought on by living in this broken, fallen world, but some pain is actually used to make us stronger. And the next verse can actually be a bit hard to take, I find. So in verse 2, Jesus says, he cuts off every branch that does not bear fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Now the cutting off part, that makes sense to me. If you don't want to be part of the vine, God is not going to be forced you to do that. But part of growing close with God is also going through sometimes, if not many, times of pruning. If you are a gardener, you will know that pruning trees and plants are a necessary part of producing a good crop. My roses, they get a good prune every year by cutting the branches back by a third, and that's a lot. You are guaranteed a bountiful of flowers come spring and summertime. For a time, they actually look like stumps over winter in the ground, but slowly new growth forms and they start forming stems and buds appear at the end of the branches. Now, I hate having to cut those rose bushes back, especially some of them are still flowering, but I know that in the end result is a stronger and healthier plant. Pruning is a process of purifying, of cleaning, of purging, and so it is with us. There are times in our life where God will prune us. He will call us out on a sin. He will prune us back to take more time to reflect on him. He will take away. He will not provide. He will not bless when we need it. But during those times, if we are going to grow, it's so important that we understand that firstly, the gardener has not abandoned you. It's the complete opposite. He is trying to make you stronger. And secondly, the vine continues to be your life source. At the moment, I have a rose bush that I fear is dying. I saw it struggling a few weeks ago, and so instead of leaving it to its own devices, I did a terrible thing. I pruned it. I pruned everything off it. At the moment, it is just two little sticks in the ground. Some would say that that's a bit dramatic, but I know that this plant is dying, and I know that this plant needs medicine. It needs help, and the best thing that I can do is allow the nutrients to get into the roots and get into the trunk of the tree, and then see how it goes, and then it'll grow healthier. Now, to anyone who sees my plant, my motives are probably a little extreme, but I know this plant. I know what it's capable of. It is beautiful. I know its potential. and I want what is best for this plant. I want it to thrive, and I will do what I can to help it. And so it is with God. He knows us. He knows what we're capable of. He knows our potential. He longs to see us fruitful, and he will do what he can to do what's the best for us. And a key part for us as branches is to trust in those times. Trusting in God, even in the times when it feels like he is pruning us. Finally, the final thing we can do to grow in intimacy with God is rejoicing in the fruitful seasons. In verse 8, Jesus says, "This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples." Great things happen when we remain connected to the vine. When we grow in a healthy, strong relationship with him, we bear fruit. This week I had a call from a lady who out of the blue, wanted to catch up for coffee. Now, I hadn't seen this lady for years. When I was a young mum, so when Chloe was a baby, I became a Kids Hope mentor at a local school. And so for 1 hour each week, I would sit with this girl and just be her friend. I did nothing special. I drew with her, I cooked with her, we made Play-Doh together, but she just needed another adult in her life during some tough times. I met with her from grade 4 to 6, so 2 years, and I really did nothing special except sit with her and listen. Now, this girl later came to our youth group, and I had the privilege of baptising her when she was 17. But I hadn't seen her in a few years, and she called me out of the blue this week to ask to have a coffee. And it turns out that she is now a chaplain at a primary school. And the primary school is partnering, they want to partner with the local church to do the Kids Hope program, but they've been wanting to do it for years, but they haven't known how to do it. And they asked her if she could coordinate the Kids Hope program. She was thrilled at this opportunity to be able to provide mentoring for other kids who were going through tough situations, having been that Kids Hope kid herself. And so she wanted to have coffee because as she was planning this and organising the mentors and their families that would need the help, she thought of her own Kids Hope journey. And she just wanted to sit and she wanted to say thank you for the time that I had invested in her. And that was like, as I said, nothing special. We just played and we drawed and we just had fun. But sometimes we don't get to see, and oftentimes we don't get to see the fruit that we produce, but sometimes we do. I left that meeting praising God all the way. Not only did I produce just this one little fruit that was her, but she had blossomed and now she's producing fruit of her own. In the car on the way home, I thought, you know what, I could die a happy person knowing that I have made a difference to this one life. But God invites us to more, doesn't he? God has a plan for the world and he invites us to join in those plans. Our closeness to Jesus bears fruit. Fruit that nourishes others, that blesses others, that builds each other's up. Fruit that produces seed, and seed that reproduces and multiplies. Fruit that brings life to this world. The disciples who remained abiding with Jesus saw great fruit in their lifetime, and they were able to rejoice in it. They were integral in the birth of the early church. They witnessed miracle upon miracle in their lifetime. If you have been walking with Jesus for a while now, I am sure that you can rejoice in the fruit that has happened in your life. Whether that be friends or family members who have come to know Jesus, whether that be miracles and healings that you have witnessed, whether that has been amazing prayers of provision that have been answered. And we don't just produce fruit and that's it. We are invited to join God in the rejoicing of this fruitfulness, This is a big part of growing in intimacy with him. Like a proud gardener, he invites us to walk with him in his garden. And he shows us the fruit that we have helped produce on the way. And he invites us into his story. He delights in us and the fruit that is produced. At the moment in the daily devotions, if you've been doing them, there's time in the evenings for a reflection. It's a time to remember the Bible focus of the day, a time to reflect on the day and thank God for the day, and a time to repent, checking on where we may have neglected or disobeyed God during the day and ask and receive forgiveness. This spiritual practice is a beautiful opportunity in growing in intimacy with him. It's an opportunity to reflect on the gifts and the nurturing that you have received throughout the day, and also to reflect on the fruit in your own life that may be budding or blossoming. God's vision for us is to bear much fruit for his glory, and we are invited to rejoice with him in that fruit as well. So as I said at the beginning, there is something beautiful about seeing elderly couples who walk and talk and act like each other. There is a deep depth of intimacy. As disciples, certainly God's heart and our heart is to grow closer together, to grow in intimacy with him. Jesus' deepest desire for his disciples was that they remain in him. And this is his deepest desire for us as well. His disciples were encouraged to think of discipleship in the garden context. God as our gardener who knows us intimately and longs to see us flourish. We are the branches, each one unique and able to produce great fruit, but we must stay connected to the vine. Jesus is our vine, our life source who daily nourishes us. In the pruning seasons, we just need to trust the gardener. In the fruitful seasons, we get to enjoy and rejoice with the gardener. I'm going to ask the band to come up now. And as a response today, we're going to participate in communion together, remembering our place as branches, being connected to and receiving from the vine. When Jesus said this analogy to his disciples in a matter of hours, he was actually going to be crucified. He knew what was coming. Now, when my kids were little, we used to love reading Andrew McDonough's Lost Sheep series. I don't know if you know these, but they're so gorgeous. And one of his books is called The Gardener and the Vine, and it reminds me of the cost of the vine and what it had to do for us as branches. It's the story of Basil, and I'm going to share you this small story today. Basil was a branch who lived on a wild, lonely hill in an old, scraggly vine. No one ever visited him until one day the gardener came and visited him. He told Basil, "Basil, you are exactly what I'm looking for." And he cut Basil from the vine and took him on a long journey until he found the true vine. The gardener said to Basil, "Basil, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is you are going to grow plenty of grapes. The bad news is I need to cut the vine." So the gardener took his snippers and he got deep into the vine. The gardener then took Basil and placed him deep in the cut of the vine and wrapped tape around him, joining Basil and the vine. "This is the end," cried Basil. "I'm going to die." "No," said the gardener, "this is the new beginning. Get ready to live." Then new strength and new life surged through Basil. The vine said to Basil, "I have good news and I have great news. The good news is you are now part of me." "And the great news?" asked Basil. "We are going to produce plenty of grapes," said the vine. I wonder if you can relate to Basil today and our relationship remaining in Jesus. Jesus asked his disciples to remain in him. For those here this morning who would say that they are a follower of Jesus, he asks us to remain in him as well. And as part of remaining in him, it's remembering the sacrifice that he made so that we may have new life. We're going to partake in communion now as an opportunity to remember our true vine, the one who brings life, the one who nourishes us and feeds us each day, the one who remains in us and we remain in him. If you'd like to take communion, please take a moment to open your communion cups. If you haven't got a communion cup and you would like one, please raise your hand. Simon's going to, not just Simon, the band as well, band, are going to play an item in the moment. And as they do, you're invited just to take the bread and eat it, remembering Jesus' broken body for us. The vine cut deep for us. In this time, you might like to reflect and give thanks on the connection that you have to the vine and the life-giving nourishment that he gives you. During the song, keep your cups, because during the song we'll finish and we'll drink together. So let's take this moment just to eat the bread together first.